Oh, hello there, and welcome to Let's Talk Comics. This is a show where DJ Walters
Well, who, where?
and this guy over here, who?
Who, where, who, what?
Sam Basher. That's who. That's them's the Who's. And we're gonna be talking
Them's
about
the Who's.
all the newest comic books of the week.
Dr. Whomst.
But since we just started this live show and the audio podcast is rolling, let's let some people start filtering in. DJ, how you doing?
I'm doing all right.
Good week for comics. Good comics. Good comics to you.
Yeah, good comics to you and good comics to you as well.
That's what you say, and you tip your cap to the shopkeep. There you go. Yeah.
There it is.
That's what you would.
So this is why you normally have me start recording later.
To let them kind of like
Yeah.
fill in, but you wanted to give it a try.
Hey,
And hey,
you know.
this is to get that $5 on Patreon. Now you're getting your money's
Oh,
worth.
snap.
You're getting chit chat with people you can't see.
Snap. So what I'm going to be talking about today are the comics I read, which are Outer Darkness.
Nice. Who's that from? Image?
That is from that's an Image comic.
And Skybound.
The Umbrella Academy.
Nice.
Marvel Knights 20th. Sideways Annual, and The Green Lantern.
The Green
Lantern.
do
That's
like
how you
the
know
new
it's
logo.
cool.
Yeah,
the new title font or
Yeah,
whatever it is.
whatever that
It
is,
is a
yeah.
logo. I was just trying to find for the kids at home a way to describe it.
For the listeners out there.
Yeah.
Also, hopefully that updates, because usually I have to go over there and just give it a little click. But who cares? Hey, you know
Yeah.
what? Let's talk about them. We can open it up, and also people can watch this later. Thank you for joining us on Patreon. You guys know the deal. $5, that gets you the audio.
$5, that gets you a foot long.
There you go.
Does it still anymore?
No, god damn it, it never did. Remember they measured it. You weren't getting a foot long.
Yeah. Also, it was also like $5, and then a lot of them were like $5 foot long, but it's $6.50.
It's like just basically $7.
Yeah.
Not bad for a foot long of food. You get
Yeah.
a foot of food.
A whole foot of food.
Not bad. But
There's
no,
our
you
new
never
restaurant,
got
The
it.
Foot of Food.
There you go. As a guess.
Food fetish.
Yeah. Food fetishes.
Mm-hmm.
Wait, that is the thing. I was trying to figure out if I could spin it like Bob's Burgers.
That's
does
our
with
new
their
show where we
restaurants.
try to figure out what type of fetish is not a thing yet.
Yeah.
Let's see if we can make it a thing.
I mean,
It's challenging.
That show might be short.
But no, but see, then each time we guess one and we find out it is a thing, then we have to explore what it is. We're really punishing ourselves.
Yeah,
on that
that's
one. Yeah.
It's either going to be like super interesting. For one, you're like, wow, how?
Yeah.
One, how could you find this? What could you have seen that spurred this?
I think that's how every episode starts, and then the other thing you said,
horror.
yeah, I think that's where it ends. I
We
think
try
it
not to be
starts
judgmental, but off camera, we're just like, oh god.
it hurts to think about. It
Yeah.
hurts our soul to think about.
Oh boy, we're gonna have to take a deep breath on this
All right,
one.
so hey, we're joined by Caitlin Conway.
All fetishes are a thing. Let's be all fetishes are a thing. Let's be real. Yeah, no, you're not wrong. You're not wrong. And hey, not trying to judge unless they hurt people or they're bad. Then we
But
can
isn't
judge.
that kind of like saying like all cars exist? Yeah, but we're trying to make a new one.
Yeah.
We're trying to make one that doesn't exist yet.
We're trying to break the
Yeah,
mold,
yeah.
Caitlin. She's always getting in our way.
Yeah, Caitlin always
Caitlin,
always
goddamn.
poo-pooing all our best ideas.
Do you want to start with the big boy? Or you want to save that for last?
Dealer's choice?
Let's start with the big boy. Because actually, I
Okay.
think it's the weirdest thing I've watched since
Wait,
Mandy.
If you're watching this live on not Instagram on whatever,
Ooh, that's
what's
a beautiful
this?
portrait of Liam Sharp's Hal Jordan.
what's this?
That's really cool.
Yeah, so we're talking about
DJ pulled assets and they
yeah.
look really good.
we're talking about The Green Lantern #1, a book I've been excited about for a long time.
This kind of feel like it came out of nowhere a little bit.
Not for me. I know some people that know some people, and I knew about this a long time ago.
Oh, now you're name dropping. DJ's
Actually, I'm not name dropping because that would get
DJ's
people in
getting
trouble.
a little bit big for his britches.
But man, son of a bitch, this is a great looking comic. You know what I mean?
Okay, I have to give one small, tiny, insignificant criticism
gate, out of
right
the
out the
gate.
gate. No, only because I kind of want to giggle at it.
Mm-hmm.
It is it's when Hal first pops up. He gets his ring.
Yeah.
By the way, guys, great comic. Just all the way around. It's beautiful, and I like the story so far. Wow, actually, it's pretty far back into the story.
Wait, it's actually the end of the
This is
comic.
great.
Yeah.
All right, really, for the viewers, I like the show and tell that you were doing. It's like, look.
Yeah.
We're doing a reading at the library. It is this specific face he makes that makes him like he's kind of squished in his mask. Go ahead, zoom in on your iPhone, and you can see that one. That's my one tiny
That was
criticism.
your one criticism.
Yeah, really not bad all the way around.
Yeah,
Remember that frame I showed you from Green Lanterns where it was like all the eyes were all wonky?
Yeah, they were all over the place. So this is I'm not entirely sure I know exactly what happens in this comic, but I did love it.
Yeah. No, what I got, and we'll compare and see if we understand
compare
this.
notes. Yeah.
So it was just Grant Morrison wants to tell you the stories, like little side stories of like the weirdest Green Lanterns out there. It's like, let's get creative. It's not just Squid Guy or whatever.
Yeah.
You have this man, the yellow, tall, lanky gentleman right here fighting a spider pirate, which is really really cool. But also his partner. Well, spoilers. Who gives a shit? His partner is a virus, which apparently that's a normal. That's a character.
One of those
that's a recurring character.
And there's a Sinestro Corps one as well.
Oh, cool. That makes more sense for it.
Yeah.
But
we have an asset of Virus Boy too.
Oh, you do?
Yeah.
All right. There he is. That's
there you go.
super gross. That's super duper gross. So it's a sentient virus that is a Green Lantern. Where's the ring?
I also like. I mean, it's got to be small. There's a scene where Hal's talking to to one of the Guardians of the Universe. And he's like, yeah, we've got ultraviolet lanterns. We've got and this is why you read a Grant Morrison comic, because you think about a normal person writing it. You're like, oh, aliens. You've got Squid Dude. You've got Crystal Dude. And you're like, cool, aliens. No, Grant Morrison is like, well, no, if you're talking about like limitless alien life, we've got these are where they have lanterns from. The lightless obsidian deeps of the super voids.
Which is the Green Lantern who just like uses like sound and stuff.
Yeah,
right?
I guess right. X-ray lanterns, radio lanterns, gamma lanterns, microwave lanterns. Like that's why you read these comics, because you're like, of course.
Yeah.
Of course that would be a thing.
Yeah.
But I never thought of it.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, and it's such an interesting, fascinating. You've got lanterns that are literally the spectrum of light that their lantern is.
Yeah,
you know what I mean?
It's really cool. By the way, that's a nod to like Doomsday Clock and everything, right?
So when they're which is another thing that I find really interesting about Morrison, because a lot of like the big guns, like Bendis was like, hey, forget everything's been happening. You know what I mean?
Just let me tell the story.
Yeah, but Grant Morrison he ties this into what's going on with Doomsday Clock. Also, he and Jeff Johns are friends. So you find out some of the books of Oa.
That makes me happy, by the way. They're not, at least those two creatives are like, no, I'm on board. You know what? I'm on board. We're going to acknowledge what you did, and I'm going to acknowledge what you did, and we're going to be friends.
Well, and Grant Morrison's always, weirdly enough, I've actually been re-listening to an interview he did with Kevin Smith on Fat Man on Batman, and he really genuinely loves superhero comics. Like he just genuinely enjoys them. And so like in his JLA run, it's funny reading his JLA run back from the 90s, because like it starts off with normal Superman, and about midway through he's Blue Lightning Superman, and it just keeps trucking along, you know what I mean? And he makes the most of whatever's going on. So anyway, the pages from the Book of O have been rewritten, and there's a symbol, there's Dr. Manhattan's symbol, you know what I mean?
Which I appreciate them acknowledging. And also it doesn't matter for the story's sake, but the rest of the story is you seeing other lanterns, Hal being called in, and actually kind of a cool little moment for him on Earth, where it's like last time they stood up, he's with Carol, he's not now. Right, I don't care. I'm
going to be honest, that was the part that confused me most, because I didn't know Hal's current situation.
It was the last tease that he was with
this girl
Carol.
that I don't know who she is.
Could be Carol.
Yeah, it could be just some random chick, because he's on the road the next day.
Yeah, but we get like some escaped convicts on Earth, which is really cool, and all the creativity behind them, like they were genuinely like, this is interesting.
Oh, and they've got this like luck totem that isn't one. No, actually, that was just garden variety. You just lucked out.
Yeah, that some reason the ship crashed, but then. You get a tease of like an actual luck dial that other people are going to be using to make like probability kind of shift in their favor, which makes as much sense as anything in comic. In a Grant Morrison comic, sure, whatever,
why not?
Which I like that they stole from a casino world, basically. And it's like, that's what they use. It's like if someone's doing a little too well, they're gonna change the luck dial, and you're not gonna do good. Also, that would be such an easy way to make a lot of money, because it'd be like, oh, look at this guy. He looks like he's kind of like he's on his like a rough go of it, but now he's gonna get a little bit of luck. He's gonna pour too much money into it, and in the last second, when he goes all in, you're gonna take that away.
Again,
awful.
In a universe of limitless possibilities, I'll be very interested to see where this run goes, because seeing the crazy shit he did with Batman, who's ostensibly a pretty grounded character, it's like there are no limits with Green Lantern.
Also, I like that he acknowledges right off the bat, which other writers, because I've read basically all Green Lantern stuff that since I started reading comics, and I try to read backwards as well. But with this comic specifically, he designates Hal as 2814.1, so he's the one Lantern there. But other people had the decimal point too, based on the Guardians. So I'm like, cool, yeah. So it's not just Earth that has like 6 of them.
Yeah, there's multiple in a sector. That makes sense.
And also, you said sector, and the sector sounds like an enormous piece of space.
When you're talking about space, it's like even if it's just a galaxy, it's like, especially in a DC highly populated universe, that seems like a lot.
Yeah, and
by the way, I was just looking at this. Look at the fucking bicep on this guy.
Oh, I was distracted by the abs.
Yeah.
They look like little like honey buns that you tear apart. They're like little cinnamon rolls cooking under there.
That's why I've been trying to work on my arms, and I'm nowhere near that.
That isn't real. Sorry.
Damn it.
Oh, I mean, that sounded really stupid when I said it. That I don't know if humans can do that. You saw that.
Have you ever seen Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson?
Did you see that post from Rob McElhenney when he was talking about like?
Yeah.
It was a good. If you want a good body positivity post.
Yeah, anybody can achieve this as long as the studio pays for it. You don't go to bed. You don't eat past 7 p.m. All this long list of things that you have to accomplish.
Yeah, easy peasy.
To look the way he did this season,
which was great. But overall, I very much enjoyed the comics. And there was a great meme that I saw online for Grant Morrison. It was like. Breaking news, Grant Morrison's making a grounded Green Lantern solo story. 3 issues later, it's him like it's Hal Jordan in 3 issues. It's him versus like God.
Yeah.
Like sure, yeah, I'm
100%.
I'm on board. I don't know from this.
Yeah.
Because I thought this was like more of like an anthology where it's like this is a story, there's a through line, but for the most part it's like let's see what other adventures he's on. Which, by the way, what's the character at the end that looks like him?
So it's probably antimatter. I think they even say this. It's antimatter Hal Jordan.
Why not?
Which is one of the evil Hal Jordans that is a Yellow Lantern. And if he's antimatter, that means he comes from the antimatter world, Quard, which is where Sinestro got his yellow ring.
Classic.
Which I also don't know how that stuff works with the dark multiverse and all that stuff. I don't know if Quard factors into that stuff.
I don't remember Grant Morrison ever factoring that in when he made the like map, and then Scott Snyder was just like, but what if we flipped it?
Yeah.
And then I thought, I was like, oh, it's the antimatter universe, but we've never really gone around in there, right? Like,
because
really.
Anyway, we're getting off track. Yeah,
Sorry,
we're getting off track.
Speaking
of things that are confusing in antimatter world and the dark multiverse, the next DC comic I read was the Sideways Annual, which, by the way, we didn't talk about it last week because I hadn't read it. The Terrifics Annual is significantly better than the comic itself. If you haven't been checking out Terrifics, pick up the annual.
It's really good.
Yeah, just do that. I don't know if it's worth picking up the rest of the series, but the annual was real good. Anyway, so whereas that was kind of side stories, this is the conclusion of
Sideways is
the current arc. Which, by the way, I feel like they, pick a lane. I think the DC editorial should be like, hey, none of our annuals are. You can't finish an arc in an annual. You know what I mean? Or it has to be you know what I mean? Like, because should I pick it up? Should I not pick it up? Like, you got to know. You know what I mean? Anyway, I did pick it up.
Well, so I don't know that rule. So I'm going to pick them up regardless, but I understand that. But overall, I did enjoy this book because it was able to kind of wrap up some stuff and leave some teases for the future.
Yes.
I'm ready to get back to grounded Sideways stories.
Agreed.
But the characters they introduce are very
Grounded.
fun.
But I know what you mean, and I agree.
But like on Earth.
Yeah.
And the art in this issue was really
Art in this
good.
issue is real good. It was written by, no, never mind. Because they say storytellers, so that includes artists as well. But there's a lot of you know what? It's probably written by Dan DiDio, and it says special guest writer Grant Morrison, and I feel like I can tell when he kicks in because suddenly like the dialogue kicks into another we're talking about whole other things now. You know what I mean? And that's like I feel like that's a Grant Morrison thing.
Yeah, but what do you think of the issue as overall?
I enjoyed it.
Do you understand Clark?
No, I don't know if he's supposed to be. He's not supposed to be the main Superman, which was the Superman from New 52. So is this like a splinter?
I thought for a second
you know
that
what I mean?
It was like Grant Morrison's Limbo, like he likes to go to all the time.
Forgotten characters, yeah.
So I thought this was like not only do if they move on a variation of the character that we just don't talk about anymore, like all the misfits that we have.
I think that's your best bet.
Yeah.
That seems like the most. I don't know if that internal logic comic makes sense.
In the Dark Multiverse in Metal, because you got the gist from Metal, but because you didn't read it, but you got the gist of it. But for the most part, what they set up is that it's a multiverse of every other possibility, more possibilities in our universe. They don't quite work out. So it's like, and if any character, any variation of them still kind of survived, whoever, like what we learned was...
So this is the dark multiverse version of T-shirt Superman.
But in the Dark Multiverse, true, but in the Dark Multiverse, there were good people, but sometimes the worlds would kind of pop up and then die. Like, they wouldn't, and then they wouldn't, like, it's like a forge that they were kind of coming out of. So I was like, there's some interesting stuff. So it's like, that's not the one we read, kind of.
Yeah.
That's my
impression as well.
It is confusing.
Yeah, and your explanation makes as much sense as I think it could.
Yeah. But the suit's cool, and also it kind of lines up with, like, his knowledge of who he is.
Yeah.
So,
and it was fun. It's fun stuff like Superman just going to town, taking out all the bug monsters and everything. And it's fun. It's just a fun little romp.
Why does Sideways powers now work? Why do they work now?
You know what, man? I couldn't tell you.
Yeah, because now all of a sudden they did, and I was like, I missed that part.
Because a new character shows up that has the same powers, and he just gives it to him.
Which is Comet, the Super Horse.
Super Horse, which is now like a Pegasus monster.
I'm a big fan of him.
I don't know what assets we have for that. Oh, there we go. There's some of the art.
Yeah,
there's some of the art.
This art was really good. I like the way Derek looks. He's got a cool look to him.
Yeah, man. I think Sideways is a real winner of a character.
This stuff I don't care about at all. We've kind of missed the mark on this. But I want to see more. You know what I want? I want more issues where, and I'll show you guys, but like you get Sideways saving Guardian.
Yeah.
And he opens a rift behind Guardian to save him, and uses the same rift to throw a weapon back at someone.
More
who
of
threw
that,
it.
please.
Yes, cool. Like Blink, right?
Yeah, let's get more creative with what his powers can do and how he can use them. It's an interesting idea. It just feels like a weird divergence to take so early in the series.
Yeah.
And it's also weird to bring these Elseworld super people to the main Earth Prime. It's like giving them their own Earth to dig around on.
Yeah,
you know what I mean? Like
something else, or I don't know, or give them like an island somewhere to go. Like where are they right now?
Yeah, and then there's a big thing where they go to the Daily Planet and they find a picture of Lois and Clark and like, this love is the foundation of the universe. Like, well, I guess don't tell Brian Bendis that, because
he's gonna ruin that. He's gonna go ahead and bungle that up.
Yeah.
Rant though I think he's my favorite look, and Comet, even though he's in like some sort of bondage.
Hey, why not?
Hey, if he's happy.
Hey, why not?
Also, I didn't know that Lois with the big brain doesn't have arms. Like they're all caught up in her brain.
Yeah, that happens to the best of us.
Yeah.
Also,
oh wait, that's who showed up. We had the
Ultra Fugonaut. Is that what
Fugonaut,
he is? Yeah. Yes, I like this guy.
Yeah,
yes, please and thank you.
Because now he cares about Derek. That was a between issue thing where
I really want. I love the idea. I think I've said this before. I love the idea of Spider-Man being mentored by Galactus, which I feel is like what you get with Fugonaut, and they haven't quite. Like he started, I need to train you, and we haven't
instead of one issue.
Instead of this whole thing, I'd rather that. I'd rather, just because it's such an interesting idea, and it's like Seven Soldiers are cool. Forget that for this comic right now, though. Let's get more into this stuff.
Instead of having the Seven Soldiers rewrite Derek freaking out and showing everyone his powers, have the Fugonaut. Because if he's showing that in this, it seemed like established that if you open the rift, you could do like space and time gobbledygook, have that happen, have them fix whatever happened, and he goes off with the Fugonaut to do it like anything.
Yeah.
But that's what you read for DC, right?
Yes.
Okay, cool. I'm going to go run through the ones I read really quick. I read, because you also picked up The Adventures of Super Sons issue 4.
I haven't read it yet.
Yeah.
Because I'm one issue behind. I didn't realize. I'm one issue behind.
It's a fun one. I read Deathstroke Arkham. So, man, Priest is such a good writer. Right now, he has, for a majority of Priest's run, he's had an AI in his suit. But really, he actually hasn't. Like someone's been messing with him, so he thinks he's been talking to Wintergreen for a while, and Wintergreen's like, "No, I haven't been talking to you." Weird. So then it's like, "Oh, it's an AI that the guy who built the suit put it in there," and he's like, "Yeah, there was one like in the first suit you wore, but I haven't updated it before, and it also never sounded like Wintergreen. Like I didn't do that. I could have a few of those details wrong. Basically, he's been imagining that, and you're trying to figure out who's been messing with him. And in the last issue, it looked like Slade snuck out with a character, and they got beamed up by like Zeta Beam, and I was like, "Oh, what's gonna happen here?" And then they're back in the Arkham in this issue, and they're showing like he's like, no, I have like an eidetic memory. I can show you how I escaped and how I don't know how I lost my memory, but I definitely escaped.
Yeah.
And they start going through, and they're like, yeah, there's no exit. There's no like. He said like he went through a vent in the ceiling when he made a fire suppression system go off. He's like, well, one, there's no fire suppression system in this room, and there's no air vent on the ceiling. So I don't know what you're talking about. They even like opened up the room. They're like, yeah, there's nothing here.
That's
so
interesting. It's always interesting when
you find out what happened. Though.
Yeah, a character messing with a super smart character. One of my favorite versions of that is in Batman Beyond, where somebody's trying to convince Bruce Wayne that he's being haunted. And it's pretty great.
Classic.
Yeah, the way he figures, because the way he figures it out is Terry's like, oh, you don't believe in ghosts? Bruce Wayne's like, no, ghosts were a part of the Justice League half the time. Like, yeah, I believe in ghosts. The thing is, he's supposed to be like going crazy or whatever. And he's like, because when I speak to myself, I don't refer to myself as Bruce.
That's
like
fun.
the internal mind was supposed to be like Bruce, whatever. He's like, I don't refer to myself as that. Yeah.
Only.
Yeah.
But for Deathstroke, they're also being rehabilitated in Arkham via VR. They're like they'll let these like perps, these criminals, like look how they want to look in the VR world, and then do a heist together. But really, it's teamwork, and it's meant to be like. Which, how can you not see that backfiring? But it's meant to be able for them to create actual connections with people and like see if they can rehabilitate them that way. And I'm like, that's really smart. Priest is really smart when he writes, so it's not surprising. I picked up The Dreaming. I haven't had a chance to read it yet, and Bordered Town. I'm gonna give it. This is my last issue to see if like I can stick with it. If not, I'm gonna move on. And I picked. Oh, I was looking the wrong way. I also picked up Justice League for Drowned Earth. Yeah. I'll be honest. I actually do really like this.
Nice.
I do like this story a lot. I like the Aqua World type thing. They're basically it's like Water World.
Yes.
And I'm a big fan of that. I also picked up. No, that's Marvel. Oh wait. I guess there wasn't that much DC. All right, yeah, that's what I picked up this week. But you want to move on to Marvel? You want to talk about Marvel Knights 20?
Yeah, I moved on to Marvel Knights 20th anniversary of the Marvel Knights imprint. And for those that don't know, Marvel Knights originally was supposed to be like the grounded, gritty, kind of like it came out around the same time as the Ultimate line, and it basically revamped Marvel. Like those two lines basically saved Marvel from imploding.
Then what's Max?
I think interesting. I think Max. When did Max fall? It's
early 2000s.
It's around the same time, but the only Max book that really mattered was Punisher Max.
And Jessica Jones.
Was that a Max book? I thought that was a Marvel Knights book.
Oh, in the first issue was Max, so I don't know.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Same thing, more adult oriented. I would imagine Marvel Knights kind of fell beneath Max. Max was like straight adult readers, and Knights was like, ooh, it's just a little edgy.
That's cool.
Yeah.
But what did you? So it's Donny Cates and a couple other writers attached to this as well.
Yeah, I think each one's tackling a different story. I'm going to be honest, I didn't really enjoy this issue all that much.
I did. I'm actually really interested in the entire concept of the story.
Yeah.
But what didn't do it for you?
I just I feel like we've basically Matt Murdock. We have an image there. Matt Murdock wakes up not knowing who he is, and he's along with several other heroes that have amnesia, and like the whole world has basically forgotten that superheroes exist. And I just don't know why I should care. I just like we've done stuff like this before, and it just feels like been there, done that, and there's not really a. Yeah, nothing about this issue made people like, oh, cool. It was just like, okay, fine.
So I've never read anything like this, so then that's probably why I was more interested because I really liked it. And Frank Castle showing up, you had an asset for that. I pulled it up. I really liked him being the one like trying to find Matt. It's like, yeah, I don't know. Also, I will say though, it's pretty confusing what people know and what people don't know about certain things. Like Matt all of a sudden remembered something, and like what did he remember? He didn't remember that like Foggy and Jennifer has powers, but she doesn't know, or she does know.
The most interesting thing for me is when he runs into Ben Grimm, and Ben Grimm, when we see his reflection, and he doesn't realize he's the he is the thing, but nobody realizes he's the thing. You know what I mean? He looks like a person. I like that. Yeah, it's good for him.
And also kind of like a scary shot where like you see what Daredevil sees, and like Reed's all like stretched up from the neck, and Johnny's just on fire, and Ben is Ben. So he's like, why did I did like that little twist, and if they're gonna bring Doom back, it's just like we're doing villain Doom now. We're gonna move on from this, like everything else that we tried to do for 2 years barely. Cool. Integrate him in here. It's Crossbones. Yet Taskmaster, I think,
Yeah.
and Kingpin.
Yeah.
And I like Bullseye.
yeah.
Yeah. Using him as like using these other villains to stalk the heroes, and they don't know what their whole deal is either. I thought that was interesting.
I guess it didn't, because it's like Marvel Knights is supposed to be grounded in street and all that stuff,
Yeah,
and
this isn't.
it just felt like another Marvel event or something. You know what I mean? It's just like, it's like that Typhoid Mary crossover they got going on.
Oh, that doesn't sound fun.
You know what I mean?
Maybe
But
that's
it's just
what
like,
I get what you mean.
yeah, and so it's, I guess maybe the perception of what you expect from a Knights book. I want to say Bendis's run on Daredevil was Knights, but now he got me questioning.
I'm not
That's
sure.
it. That's all I picked up from Marvel this week.
Yeah, no, but for Marvel Knights, are you gonna pick up another issue? Because I'm okay. Well,
Yeah.
I'll keep you filled in.
Thanks.
If it like everything clicks and it
Gets
becomes
crazy.
amazing.
Yeah.
Because I like these people finding each other and trying to put all the pieces back together. I like
Yeah.
Banner being like this like crazy like.
And it's a good mix of characters and all
Yeah.
that stuff. It's mostly just a money thing, man. Like if you don't grip me an issue 1, I'm not gonna.
Yeah,
You know what I mean?
I get you.
I can't afford it, man.
I picked up.
Also, space.
Huh?
Comics take up so much space in my
Oh.
place. You know what I mean?
Look at this. I just downloaded like 20 comics right
Yeah,
now when we were talking.
Didn't save you any money though.
It didn't. That's where the weight goes.
Yeah, exactly.
But and space. But I picked up Spider-Geddon #3, and I think you would really like this issue mainly because they Spider-Man and the cowboy Spider-Man are very important to the story. And
we get another Vault of Spiders, I think, in a couple weeks. That makes me
hopefully
excited.
we get more stories from them.
Yeah.
And also, apparently, I didn't read Spider-Verse, but Spider-Man actually is in that one.
Cool.
Because they mentioned, like, yeah, you were here last time.
Yeah.
I'm like, I don't remember the big monster. And they, like, use the robot. Like,
Yeah.
the robot's very important to the story, which is great.
So cool.
And now they're all riding around in the suit, which is
I
cool.
love it.
And you see the cowboy Spider-Man jump out of the suit, and you're like, uh-oh, this is what happens when you don't have any, like, control. Like, you have to get more creative so all the characters get weirder. But you have 2 teams of spider people who are trying to go about this in different ways, which is cool. They're coming to a head. One's led by Miles and one's led by Doc Ock.
Yeah.
And so I'm like, cool, you're using Miles as like a lead character. Good.
Cool.
Good call.
Is Parker Prime a part of this at all?
He is, but he's dealing with Morlun, the main guy.
Gotcha.
And so they're doing their thing. I'm like, cool, this is a good way to kind of like, you deal with that story over
Yeah.
here. It's in the Spectacular Spider-Man story, and the main comic is dealing with everybody else.
Gotcha.
There was something else I liked in this issue. Oh, and PS4 Spider-Man. He gets an Earth designate, like where he's at.
Which is?
Um,
Oh, gotcha. Okay, yeah.
Numbers.
I thought you
don't
had
know.
it ready to go.
Oh,
I didn't
no. But it is really cool
He's
to see.
on Earth PS4.
Also, Petey and Uncle Ben as Spider-Man are really
Yeah.
cool. I like them on the team. Also, and just because Uncle Ben being so like grumpy, he's like such a crotchety old man
Nice.
in this version of
Yeah.
him. I was a big fan of that. I also picked up Iron Fist Phantom Limb. They're doing the Defenders, like digital first comics. That comic's super interesting, where it's
Cool.
like the premise in the first, they do 2 issues at a time in one like book when you buy it.
Yeah.
So in the first 2, there's like this demon thing that was going from fortune teller to fortune teller, and they were like, "Can you read my palm?" And they would, when they start to like touch their hand, the fortune teller's hands would get infected, and the demon would move its way through its hand like that. Remember that anime that got really popular, Parasite, where like a parasite moves through just the hand, and it takes control. It makes like the fingers grow out like roots, and the whole body gets taken over. It's pretty gross.
Yeah.
At the end of that first issue, Danny Rand, he gets infected, but he cuts off his own hand, and so but the Iron Fist was lit up when that happened.
Nice.
So this demon like hand, kind of like Uncle, what is that? It.
I think it's Cousin It.
Cousin It, yeah, in the Addams Family, but it has the Iron Fist, but also it kind of grows like this gross tree root as well.
Interesting.
It's really cool.
Nice.
Also, this kid that he kind of failed to save is the first person to be like infected by like the host demon. So, and that kid died, and now he's walking around and tormenting him. I'm like, this is pretty
Whoops.
dark. This is pretty good. So I picked up issue 2, which is technically 3 and 4, and I haven't read that yet, but I am excited to. As Guardians of the Galaxy, forgot that this is a limited series. It's not going to be going for very long.
Yeah.
But it's so much fun.
Nice.
Also, they have these little like vignettes where it's like, how did they join the team? How did they join the team? Throg was great. I liked when
Nice.
he got recruited because people talked to him, but he's a frog, so he's not going to talk back. Death of the Inhumans ended, and what bummed me out is that it's still really well written because I like Donny Cates a lot. But none of the end of the issue, it did a very good job of culling the rest of the Inhumans, and now it's just the family again.
Yeah.
What bummed me out though was that
So they basically just bailed on this whole Inhumans as mutant things. We're pulling the plug on that.
but there's like the ones that were really popular are going to stay around.
Gotcha.
Like Devil Dinosaur and Moon Girl, she's an Inhuman. Miss Marvel, the other ones, you still got good characters out of it. But yeah, for the most part, like everybody else, they kind of got rid of it. Also, it was Black Bolt who had to do it, and that's what hurt the most.
Yeah.
And he just really captured all of these characters individually really well. And Beta Ray Bill was in the team as well, which was fun. But the end of it, the realization that was really cool, and this whole arc has been written kind of like a long poem about like King Arthur kind of, and that's why I really like it. And the prophecy that the Inhumans have is that Black Bolt or the Inhumans are going to revolt. Like one of the creations of the Kree is going to be the downfall of the Kree.
Yeah.
And the realization that Donny Cates has that makes Black Bolt have is that these basically all the most powerful Inhumans the Kree took and weaponized, and now they have no control over their bodies anymore. They're basically not people anymore. They're just weapons. And so he kills them, and he does it with one big scream, and it's very violent. Thank you, Donny Cates, for that. It was very sad and very not great to see, but it was a cool realization where it's like, nah, yeah, if you're gonna win, you don't win really. There's no winning here. So I did like the end of that. Lockjaw's back, so you're good.
Hey.
Maximus is back, so I don't care. And there's that. I read Infinity Wars, and you had your lineup of the new Avengers. It's Hulk, Scott Lang, Emma Frost, Kang, Miss Marvel, and Loki.
Are they merged, or are these? No, it's just them.
They separated them all out.
Gotcha,
so
gotcha.
they were Kang and Miss Marvel were merged because they have a lot of stories together. Emma Frost and Logan were merged, so they got separated. And Hulk and Scott Lang were merged. That was the
Kang and Kamala Khan have a lot of stories together.
They've had a lot of spin-off, one-off stories where they both mess with each other.
Weird.
Not mess with each other. I don't know how to describe it, but yeah, they with the Avengers and her introduction, they've had a lot of run-ins together.
Weird.
And different time period versions of Kang as well. What are we left with at the end? A whole lot of nothing. I'll be honest. They brought back one version of Quaid. Oh, they brought back Moondragon from another universe and Phyla-Vell. Whatever. I don't know how to say her name. Who cares? Moving on. Incredible Hulk or Immortal Hulk. I showed you the frame from this week, and it's pretty fucking violent. So if you want, sorry for cursing, but it's a really good horror comic. If you want that, X-23, I read that. That's a good one. And X-Men Red is a letter from Tom Taylor.
Yeah.
To the audience, and you have this really cool moment where Jean Grey just she kind of goes off at humanity, which you always have the X-Men doing in some way, but her specific go off is it's very personal and it's very raw.
Yeah.
Tom Taylor's so fucking good, man. He's such a good writer.
Yeah.
Come on the show, damn it. If you're obviously a patron, why wouldn't you be? But please listen to this. Hop on the show. We'd appreciate it. That's it from Marvel.
Cool.
Let's go into the indie realm.
Yes.
You picked up a comic that was on your pull list last week.
Yay!
From Skybound and Image Comics.
Yeah, it's Outer Darkness by John Layman and Afu Chan. John Layman was the writer of Chew, which was a very delightful comic. And so I will definitely check out any new book he's got coming out. And this is, he even says in the back, like a lot of these Image Comics have little letters from the writer in the back that explain what they were thinking, why they wanted to do this.
Oh, cool. I skipped those.
and so this is basically the premise is Star Trek, but demons and ghosts and everything
In space.
So it's a lot like it's a more fun Event Horizon.
Okay.
Essentially, so you've got your classic. We've just started introducing the crew. It's more about the captain and his right hand man, who is I think a voodoo priest. I think is what they say.
Why not?
And he's on a ship, and they get possessed by stuff. Actually, I think I might have a thing of the possession. A girl's vomiting shit up, and the voodoo guy has to knock her out and stuff like that. And most of them die. And so then he gets put on another ship with a suicide mission. And you just get little hints of how the world works. So he's like, I'm going to go help set up, I think it's called a demon drive or a ghost drive. Instead of a light speed drive or whatever, a quantum drive. It's
powers by ghost.
Well, here's the thing. He's like, I'm going to go, it's the captain's job to set that up. And the where do they say it? Yeah, I don't know. It's either a ghost or demon. And a heat engine. It's a hate engine, and the one of his crew members is like, no, we have a god engine. And he's like, what? And so you have to give sacrifices to this demon god that's the engine. So they bring in a couple criminals.
Jesus Christ.
Yeah, and that's what powers the ship.
What the fuck?
I don't have an asset for this, unfortunately. So that's what powers the ship. So it's interesting. I don't know. I'm gonna give it. I don't know if I'm completely hooked yet, but I love the idea of the setup. So I'm gonna give it a few more issues.
Oh, is that them eating the people?
Yeah,
Good,
yeah.
great.
So I'm looking forward to meeting more of the crew and getting to know more of the setup. It's definitely a cool setup. The art is great. So I'm interested. I'm interested to see where it goes.
Nice. And you also picked up Umbrella Academy.
I did pick up Umbrella Academy.
This is who's the artist for this?
It's Gabriel Ba. He's back.
Yeah.
I don't think he did the last issue, but he is the main artist for this comic.
Yeah.
And he's amazing. And so it's good to have him back. And this is just a weird, fun comic. It's just it's tough. I need to go back and read the first 2 volumes because there's stuff that it's been years. It's been years since volume 2.
Fun suggestion on Comixology Unlimited that is included, but first
Nice.
2 volumes are there. So,
Very cool.
If you guys are interested, I know you guys have the comic book club, which I really love it. And if you guys want to make that your next read, it's a good recommendation from
Yeah,
BJ.
I really love Umbrella Academy. It's a lot of fun. It definitely, you can see how he was inspired by stuff like Doom Patrol because these people are just so messed up. They're so the big reveal in this one is there's a character who I think her codename is Rumor, and she basically will say I heard a rumor that we have a panel here. She's coming here to get a drink or something. He's like, yeah, we ran out of that, and she's like, I heard a rumor that you have it under the counter, and he looks and it's there. So whenever she says that, it becomes a reality.
Oh, I thought you meant she just knew.
No, she makes it a reality. So
That's really cool.
I think in between arcs, she had a husband and a kid, and what you find out is that she just met this guy that she liked, and she's like, I heard a rumor that you love me. And at this point they're divorced, and he hates her because that wasn't true. You know
Did
what I mean?
he find out? Is that what happened?
I mean I'm assuming because at this point they're not together, and he's very much not a fan of her.
That's
It's dark. Yeah. It's dark. It's weird. It's fun. I mean, you've got a guy riding a giant chicken. You know what I mean? It's not too heavy, but the Hotel Oblivion of the title is, it seems like so far, a prison that they put their enemies in. It's basically their Arkham Asylum, but it's in another dimension. And since their boss died, nobody's been keeping track of it.
Oh, good.
So
that's like the dad or the professor or something?
Yeah. The dad. All these kids there was an event that killed a lot of people, but some kids survived and they had abilities, and he collected them and trained them to be super people like the X-Men, except
Awful.
reality it'd be a nightmare. Yeah. So, and now they're adults and they're all fucked up in different ways. So nobody's been keeping track of it. And these criminals have led lives. Some of them had kids, and one of the criminals is trying to get his baby out because I guess the mom's like a living nightmare. And so they're trying to escape Hotel Oblivion.
Yikes.
Yeah.
Well, okay. So
you say yikes, but if you read it, it's actually a lot of fun.
No, because it's that dark humor. Yeah.
And there's a guy that I can become possessed by ghosts, and he's basically selling he's selling his ability to people that want to connect to loved ones. And in this issue, and a wealthy widow's trying to find out where her husband put the money, and the dead husband just wants to have sex, so he possesses him to have sex with the wife, and then he doesn't get anyway. It's a lot of crazy messed up people. Meanwhile, the 2 guys on the cover are hanging out with it. This isn't this issue. That's last issue. They hang out with a superhero in Japan. It's fun. It's fun. It's crazy. It's weird. I really enjoy Umbrella Academy. So
for me, I read the first whole volume, and it did it wasn't bad. It did nothing for me though. It was I can't criticize any of the writing in this because these are actual characters and this is actually a fun setting, but it's nothing connected for me. It sucks when you don't like something that a lot of other people like.
It definitely has its own rhythm. You know what I mean?
And I have no reason. I guess I could nitpick and say the stuff I don't like about it, but I'm like, nah, because there's other that's not different from other stuff that I do like, but it's not for me. But it's obviously a popular comic and cool to read a Dark Horse comic. I feel like do they make stuff still? Yeah.
Oh yeah, Hellboy. Yeah, they do a bunch of stuff. This series is getting a Netflix show.
Oh yes, they are,
and I'm already bummed about it. Just because it doesn't capture. I just can't imagine it really captures the lovely weirdness of the series. One of the kids, I believe his original power was super strength, but now he has got this gorilla body, this robotic gorilla body that his head's in, and in the show he just has a robot body.
Yeah.
And it's like, yeah, because money, but then why are you making this series? Like, if you couldn't do that shit. And the art is so interesting and stylized. It bums me out when you have art that's so distinct. Actually, here's another example right on the back, Hellboy. When you have an art style that's so distinct and unique, and you just make it live action, it's like, well, that's boring. Like, do stop motion. Do this is weird. Do something weird. I don't know. That's a different rant for another day.
Yeah.
Also,
you didn't like the Hellboy movies?
they're fine. Oh, listen. The second Hellboy movie is better looking than movies now.
Yeah,
the effects in it are better looking than movies that are like 10 years at least later.
No, they're Golden Army. Even the animated sequence you get in the middle to explain what they
it's
are.
Beautiful. It's
so
a beautiful
cool.
movie, and it's definitely a lot of fun. But there's something. But again,
I
that's
get
Guillermo
what you
del Toro.
mean. Yeah.
So he still has a unique, fun take. And even with that, there's still just something a little lost from just what makes Mike Mignola's art so unique. Now take that same idea, but give it listen, I haven't seen the show. The show might be great.
Yeah.
It just feels like
it's really early on.
It feels like there's just some of that magic is lost.
Let me see. I picked up 2 indie comics, Animosity. Right now.
Yeah. I feel like you were starting to get on the fence about the series last time we talked about it.
No, not about. It's just that it's so well written, but it's so depressing, and I don't think they have an answer for this. I mean, that's still true, but right now the story is. I think we're about to get like a breakout, and I'm very interested to see where they go with this. Basically. I think they're in like Nebraska right now.
Yeah.
I think because they're moving from New York, they're trying to get to San Francisco. Classic, easy. Why the Last Man? I think did the same thing.
You're trying to get to Australia though, right?
He was, but they went to San Francisco to get a boat,
Gotcha.
and then they went. But little text message. In this though, a bunch of the girls, like female human girl, I don't know what I'm saying, girl humans, they were all rounded up and they went into this walled city, and a bunch of older women are trying to train them to be capable in this new world.
Yeah.
And it's very much brainwashing of just like, those are still animals. They're gonna talk to you and you need to ignore it. And they're basically they're like, watch, see, we can do this. And they brought in a bear and that had been shaved, and they took out all of its teeth, and so it can talk and it can think like a person.
Yeah.
But they're like, yeah, see, it's just an animal. And it's like, wow, this is really, really, really dark.
Yeah.
And the person that was bringing basically the young girl in the story is the one who's trapped here, and she was brought here by the other human in the group, an older guy who's like in his early 20s, because he was just like, I'm tired of you being in like dangerous situations. We need to take you somewhere humans are, and like we have to stop.
Yeah.
Like, I know you love the dog, but we have to protect you. And as soon as he got there, they don't take men, so they shot him in the gut, and he's bleeding out outside the wall of the city. And I'm like, and he's been bleeding out. First frame is him bleeding out right there on the ground, and he's being confronted by the animals that he abandoned. And I don't see how he gets out of this, but they've been stretching out his death for 3 issues now. You even got like a background issue where it's like, this is what he was like. Wow, his life was awful, really bad. But I read. I'm gonna finish reading that, and I also picked up Giant Days issue 44. Man, this issue is so much fun. It's Valentine's Day now, so it's wherever all the characters are at right now. So like, there's actually like a stable relationship that has its issues, which is like nice. They'll show that, and I love their living situation because like they got a cheap apartment. It's like, it's amazing, and it's like it's just filled with families that all have like 6+ kids, and it's like. Everything's broken. Like constantly, everything's like, all the pipes don't work.
Yeah.
There's no heat, and there's power that goes out all the time. It's like, yeah, you got it in, like, it's like 200 pounds a month for you guys. Yeah, there's a reason.
Yeah.
And everybody else is like in their own like little relationship things, or they're trying to find themselves. And man, that comic's really good. I want to make sure that I didn't miss one. Oh, in Marvel, I did want to mention, I forgot to mention this one, Champions, because they're in Weird World right now.
Yeah.
And Miles's power is really cool, since he's like this spy rogue character. Yeah. They've now kind of reunited most of the Champions. They're all together now. The only person who has their memory is Ironheart, because he needs someone to like drive the group. Like, we have to get back home. And but his power, his cloak, allows them to be invisible for a little bit. That's why he's a good thief, like his power. Yeah. And it's like this. It's like he kind of goes to like another dimension for just a second, but he can't walk around. He has to stay right where he is. Yeah. He just can't. And so he encircles like 9 people, and they wait for like a while for people to leave. And as soon as and like, it's just such a cool visual. They like I think it's Jim Zub
Yeah.
Who's the writer on this, and the art's really good as well. But I like his creativity when it comes to this.
That's awesome.
And Vision is great because Viv, she's like this automaton that is in this world that they reassemble her, and she was built to have visions, and so she'll give you little glimpses of the future where it's like, oh no, I can't tell you the full story because she also can't talk that much in this world. But it's like, yeah, you can turn her on and she will help you fight, but her whole thing is that she can get little visions of the future. I'm like, that's a fun way to reinvent these characters. But overall, pretty like not that big of a week overall. No. There is Aquaman, Justice League stuff, and new Green Lantern, but pretty light. Let us know what you guys read in the comments down below or on the Discord because there's a whole section for comic book talk. Thanks to everyone who joined us live. David and Caitlin, you're awesome. But if you listen to this, comment on the Patreon post so we know that you guys are there and that you guys like this. If you guys don't like this, maybe we'll try something else. But this is really easy for us because we already read comics and we know you guys always have ask us for recommendations.
And here they are.
So it works out.
There it is.
But any final thoughts, DJ?
Thank you all for joining us. I'd like to point out that Miles' invisibility ability doesn't make any sense in the Marvel world. How does it make his costume invisible? Doesn't matter. And I'm excited to do this again next week.
Yeah.
And I think we're off for Thanksgiving, Black Friday. So just be ready for that.
We'll see you at the Kmart's.
All right.
Oh, they're closed. We ended on a sad note.
Bye-bye.
Bye. Bye.
Bye.